say that's my favorite teeny bopper song of all time.
It's just your favorite song in general.
Don't be embarrassed. Own it.
It very
Own
well
Ben.
could be. We actually were blasting that on the way back from the game on Sunday down the freeway. We're 1 mile an hour in traffic. We were quite entertaining to ourselves.
It's hard not to with that song.
You just kind of blast it, right? It's
You
good.
have to. Those are the ones that I even don't stop singing at a stoplight.
Yeah.
Most of the time I will because I don't want people seeing me.
You throw the invisible phone up
Right?
at people next to you and bop the head. Lisa.
Okay, I've never done that.
No? Man.
There's an idea.
Yeah, it's fun. You never know what people are thinking on the other side of the invisible phone line.
Focus, Ben.
I'm with you. Lisa Hampton does join us, and, you do have to spend a lot of time with a real estate agent. Lisa always brings not only great attitude and spunk to the show, but also a very good knowledge base of buying real estate. And, Lisa, when people start looking around at houses, there is that liaison between buying a house and the actual buyer, which typically is a real estate agent. And it's easy sometimes to figure out what house you want, but maybe a little bit harder to figure out the agent who should help you.
Well, I think right now anyone can find a house. Let's be honest, and especially when you are in the Seattle area, everyone is really savvy when it comes to computers, and you've got a million websites you can look at. And you talked about that earlier, Ben, too, or just flashy websites and things you can see. So anybody can find the house, but in order to move forward successfully, you do have to have that real estate agent in the middle. Yeah.
So then, okay. So, if you see flashy websites, now websites are good. I mean, they are your storefront. They're important. They're definitely going to be, that first, guiding light, I guess, to finding somebody. But maybe that's the way you find somebody to maybe set an appointment with or to interview, maybe not to make that final selection.
Well, I think when you start, it starts from the very beginning on deciding whether or not a relationship is going to work for you. And you may find them through a website, but it's also from that very first contact. How are they treating you? How is your real estate treating you? One of the biggest red flags, I think, is if you call a real estate agent and say, I want to see this house, and they jump in their car and come show you, is actually a huge red flag because they don't know anything about you. Before they ever come show you a house, they should know, is this actually going to work for you? What kind of neighborhood are you looking for? What type of house are you looking for?
Are you an axe murderer?
Yeah, that's kind of a big one, too. We all carry stun guns around.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't, but... Anyway, they really, from the get-go, they should be asking you questions. It shouldn't be about them. Because if they're willing to just jump in the car and come show you a house on an hour's notice, they're pretty desperate. And so I don't know that you can trust necessarily that they're going to have your best interest.
Because they just want to sell a house.
Pretty much.
Do people end up maybe mixing up availability and accessibility with good service or success?
Yes. And I've actually had some people call me and they have actually been turned off because we haven't been able to go show them that day. And quite honestly, that's not who we want to work with either. Because we are accessible and we are available, but we also want to make sure that we're giving our buyers good service. And by just at the whim of, at the drop of a hat being able to do it, that's not great service.
Well, it's no service at all, really. That's just having a key card.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And it seems that a lot of times it's really hard, and I think this is kind of what you're speaking to. You can't really have somebody's best interests at heart if you don't ask them what their interests are.
Well, and that's why our team will definitely go, after I've had a conversation with someone and I know that, yeah, let's go take a look at this house. Before we'll go show them any more houses, we need to meet with them. And that's for a number of reasons. And I think every time I'm on here, I talk about the consultation, but it is, okay, you're looking for a 3-bedroom house. Why? Because a 3-bedroom might not be what you need. So it's not just a question of the logistics of it, but it's an emotional purchase, regardless of what you're purchasing for. It's emotional. So there's not only that, but then also you have to set up the expectation as an agent, set up the expectation for the buyer so that they know what the process is going to look like. And that's part of the interview process is, are they going to walk you through it, or are they going to go open a door for you and then write up a contract? You
talk about a process, and I know that there are a lot of real estate agents who have no process, and they do go open the door immediately, and then they run around trying to just find houses. And there are some that do. The same is true of our business, the lending industry. A lot of people, they just play this by the seat of their pants, hair on fire all day. To me, that would be a very difficult person to. That would be a red flag. when somebody's literally running around and just doesn't have a day in order, or doesn't, where there's a lack of, there's great accessibility, maybe great communication, but just not a lot of how is this process going to go?
And our team is set up completely different in that we work exclusively with buyers. There's 2 of us who do. And I, for the most part, work in the office, work with the buyers on their consultation, negotiating their contracts. But then we have someone else who specializes in showing the properties. And so our process is very A to Z. We meet with you for the consultation, and then we have steps all along the way to make it smooth. We couldn't just fly by the seat of our pants. You start missing deadlines then. And it's just, you can't. You can be accessible, but you still have to be professional. Yeah.
So when you start going through that process, I mean, when should maybe somebody realize that it isn't the right agent for them to work? What are some of the maybe mitigating factors of, hey, this is working or this isn't, and maybe some red flags that are going through that process?
I think from the get-go in the consultation, your agent should always ask what they can expect of you as a buyer, because then that sets the stage for them to see if they can serve you. If they're not asking you what they can expect of you, they're going to get walked all over. You're going to be able to walk all over them, and that's not good when you're working with a professional. But some of the red flags, too, is are they digging deeper to find out what you're looking for and why you're looking for it? Are they setting up a professional relationship? Because if you're just coming in and they're saying, oh, you want a 3-bedroom house, let's go see them. If they're not walking you through the process, if they're not asking you if you're pre-approved, that's a huge red flag. Because they could be out showing you $400,000 houses because that's what you like, and you can afford $200,000. So that's another red flag right from the beginning.
Just not doing due diligence on the front end.
Pretty much. And I think a lot of agents out there are so desperate for the business that they don't do that. They're just willing to do whatever the buyers want, and it's not professional.
Yeah. Do you, is there anything, are there fair or unfair expectations that people have?
Yes. It's unfair for a buyer to expect an agent to be available immediately. I mean, it's definitely unfair. There's a respect of time from both sides. And that's, if you do want to see a house, we understand when it's absolutely urgent. But if it isn't, we're going to get you scheduled in, but it may not be within the next hour. So that's somewhat of an unfair expectation. And it would be on both sides. I mean, it would be on both sides. I think because
you wouldn't ask a buyer to say, hey, you have to make a decision in 5 minutes or else I have to go to the next person who needs to see me in 8.
No, not at all. And so that's just a respect of time on both sides. I think also it's just having an expectation from both sides up front. I mean, we let our buyers know, here's what our schedule is, here's how we work, and if you want to work with us, we want to work with you within our guidelines. And the reason why is because it works. We're not going to come out and show you a house at 9 o'clock because that doesn't work.
Especially if they're an axe murderer.
And also if that works.
Yeah. We're here with Lisa Hampton, lead buyer specialist with Homehelper Consultants. Lisa, we do have to go to break here in just a minute, but how do you, when you say, is there times that you really know you have to cut the cord, you have to just abolish a relationship that you maybe have been working with?
I think so. And I think as agents, we need to know when to do that. But as buyers, you need to know when to do that too. I think sometimes you start to feel obligated to a person because you've been working with an agent. But then if they're not responding to you, if it's 3 days before they respond to you and you miss out on an opportunity to see a house, if the communication disappears, but then also if they've just given up. And we've worked with some buyers who had worked with another agent for like 6 months. And after about 6 months, the other agent was just really lackadaisical towards them. And it's time to cut the cord then.
Yeah, it would seem that, again, it's that element of making sure that, they're still working for you.
Yeah, well, you're hiring them. I mean, the benefit of being a buyer and hiring an agent is you don't pay for them, the seller does, but you still hired them, so they need to do a job for you. Yeah, well, Lisa, we do have to go to break, but thank you again for joining us. When we come back, we're going to hit a little bit on the investment side of real estate and knowing what it's going to take to secure and close a deal for investors. We'll be right back after this break.